Okay, thank you very much for coming and showing up this morning. It's really amazing how we've already reached 100 by just admitting everyone. We shall also share the Facebook live stream via chat so that if you have anyone who's just got locked out, make sure you invite them to just join in. And we are Strathmore Junior Chambers of Commerce. We're the ones who've organized this in conjunction with Capital Markets Authorities. We are a student-run organization, or let's say a group, that are youth in business who are interested in networking, learning, earning, as well as assisting each other in building our businesses. I'd like to invite Director Jessie Muraya, who is the Youth Director for Kenya National Chamber of Commerce Youth, who can give us some opening remarks and commentaries from KNCCI. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Stacey. It's amazing to see all these people here. So congratulations on being able to organize this together with your team and the rest of the Strathmore Junior Chambers team. So it's amazing. So I'm just going to give a quick brief about the Chamber of Commerce, what we do, and so that I can also give you guys a bit of a brief about the Chambers of Commerce. So ideally, KNCCI, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is registered as a non-profit company in Kenya. The main aim of KNCCI is basically to build a vibrant and prosperous business community. So by that, I mean that one of our main objectives as the Chambers of Commerce is to be able to help represent all the businesses in Kenya. And that means the reason for that is because a lot of times you'll find as a business, there are a lot of issues that you end up facing, or a lot of challenges that you end up facing as a business, but you can't be able to tackle them on your own. So the idea is to come together as an association so that you can be able to tackle all those challenges together. So KNCCI is organized, it's a devolved faction actually. It's organized like how our county is organized. We have got 47 chapters in all the 47 counties of Kenya. So that means if you go to Mombasa, if you go to Turkana, if you go to Uasin Gishu, if you go to Kisumu County, you'll be able to find functioning chambers of commerce within your county. So that means that even all the way up to the grassroots, you're well represented as a business. So how does the chambers of commerce operate? It's membership based. So that means you pay an annual subscription so that you can become a member of the Chamber of Commerce and you can benefit from all the various opportunities that you get as a Chambers of Commerce. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard from the communication material about Strathmore Junior Chambers of Commerce. So that is an initiative that was started by our very own Director Mushiri, who's not here with us today, but he's the one who leads now the Chambers of Commerce for youth as a whole throughout the whole country. So basically that was initiated in a way that we can be able to help bring up entrepreneurs from a very young age. So that means from university, I believe those of you in university already have your own entrepreneurial activities that you're doing. You have a hustle or you have a side gig or you even have a functioning business. So that means even from within the university, you can be able to join your own local chapter for university for Chambers of Commerce. So Strathmore Junior Chambers of Commerce is that which represents Strathmore. We also have one representing KCA, Kenya College of Accountancy University. We've got one representing Kwea, that's Catholic University. We've got another one representing University of Nairobi. So basically all the major universities do have their own chambers, junior chambers associated with that. So again, what we also try to do now together as a Junior Chambers of Commerce now, just to be able to bring in all these young people, help them interact with each other, help them open opportunities even beyond Kenya. So that means that if you do want to do business beyond Kenya, so for example, right now we've got the AFTA, the Africa Free Continental Trade Area Agreement. That means you'll be able to do business between Kenya and Tanzania, Kenya and South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria. That means we're also able to help bring your businesses together and help you do opportunities with businesses all around the world. So I'd encourage everyone to just consider joining Chambers of Commerce, either through your local university chapter or through your local county chapter. Yeah, and above all, I think I'd also like to welcome all of you again for this session. I think capital markets is a conversation that's very, very fascinating to me. I think it's really critical for all of us to know various avenues of which can be able to invest our funds. So you just don't need to, it's not just for businesses. You can't just plant your finances towards business. To be able to have a lot of other opportunities to be able to earn an income. So I believe the wonderful team here from Stacy to Conrad should be able to have a very engaging session for you guys so that you can be able to know what avenues are there for you to interact, what avenues are there for you to invest. So yeah, welcome and have a great session and have a blessed day, a blessed weekend. So over to you, Stacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Jesse is a very good mentor to us, and we even call him DJ because of how fresh he keeps things. Thank you for that short message. Now I'll hand it over to Conrad, who will also introduce the CMA team and the presenters as well. We also want to thank them for taking the time and the opportunity to join us and educate us. Over to you, Conrad.
Okay, thanks a lot, and good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Director Jesse. Those are fantastic words, and I think you've set the tone. And you know, we can't hardly wait to get started. Yeah. I thank you, Stacy, for this fantastic. And I just want to let you know, today is just the beginning of great things to come. I see this as a new partnership with the Capital Markets Authority, and we'll continue to work together so that we can develop Kenya together. My name is Conrad Afande. Everyone makes fun of my second name, like Policeman Afande, but it really is my name. It's always funny when I get stopped by a policeman. They're like, Gina Lako, I'm saying Afande. They think I'm joking, but it's really my name. But anyway, I'm the manager for education and awareness. I'll be your co-moderator with Stacy. It's my pleasure to introduce the team that will be presenting. Let me start with Halkano Hooker, who is the certification senior officer. And you'll get to hear, maybe Halkano, you can say hello. Oh, you're unmute and say hello.
Okay.
Yes, I think, Halkano, you can just unmute your mic. Okay, I think there might be a challenge there. Before, we'll come back.
Good morning.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning. Fantastic. Okay. So Halkano will be the first presenter. And then I'm also joined by the senior officer for awareness, you know, Lucy Njeramba. I think Lucy can actually come in and say hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey. Yeah, so I think we're ready. I just want to take 1 minute just to explain to you that the whole objective is for us to begin the journey together, okay? We want to demystify investing in capital markets because a lot of times people have the notion that investing in capital markets is only for rich people. Investing for capital markets is only for people with money. But after the session, I hope you'll understand that investing in capital markets is really for everyone, okay? And what we're trying to do is, as much as you see a PowerPoint presentation, we'll try as much as possible to be interactive. So you'll see Stacy and myself sort of asking questions to the presenter, just to sort of spur that discussion to make it interesting, okay? And interestingly, every time you watch the news or you watch anything to do with financial market, I admit with shame that we have a bad habit of trying to sound more intelligent than we actually are. Like, you know, the macroeconomic factors of, you know, I think the index of, you know, we use big jargons that throw people off, yeah? So what we're doing with you excellent people is to try and talk in layman's terms, just so we understand each other, okay? And if you've got questions, we're happy to answer any question. There's no stupid question, do not be shy, so we can have that discussion, yeah? So without further ado, let me give it back to Stacy, who can now maybe allow Halkano to present, so we don't run out of time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Conrad.
Yeah, Halkano, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody, once again. Welcome to this forum of ours on demystifying capital markets for the youth. Who are we? Who is this Capital Markets Authority? What is the mandate of this authority? Capital Markets Authority is a government agency established by an act of parliament with the primary responsibility of regulating and developing the capital markets in Kenya. It's a public agency which has been established by an act of parliament with the primary responsibility of developing and regulating capital markets industry in Kenya in a more fair, efficient, and transparent manner. The authority has two main mandates. One, the way I said, it's regulatory. The second one is development, because you can't regulate without developing the industry, without developing the products. We are talking about demystifying capital markets to the youth. The youth in this Kenya, as you all know, from the statistics undertaken by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, comprises of a bigger percentage. Those within the age bracket of 18 to 35, and of course, it's public domain that below 35 you belong to the category of youth. But once you exit 35 years, then you exit the youthful. Determine greatly, the future and the growth of this industry. However, there have been challenges because many Kenyan youths have been unemployed, they've been jobless, and quite a number of them lack enough resources, to ensure that there is development and there is growth in our country. Here, we are asking, as a youth, you want to invest in capital markets. Where do you need to begin? This is a journey that you need to begin in a very systematic way. Investing in capital market has its own path, has its own way. And there is a destination that you need to reach, which is, investing in capital markets and creating wealth for yourself. What do you need to do? First, you need to identify your investment goal. For you to develop, for you to invest, for you to, create wealth, you need to identify your own goals. Where do you want to reach in the next 5 years? Where do you want to reach? You need to identify your own investment goals. Secondly, you need to learn the basics of investment, to choose appropriate investment. There are several opportunities that are there within where and which route you need to invest in, and how you manage your portfolio. Yes, you put your money into a sort of an investment, either in CIAs, in shares, in equities, but the question is, how do you manage them? What are these benefits of investing? Why do you need to invest? And what are the return on investment for you in terms of your investment? We have the shares. What is a share? You see people are saying they are shareholders in this company, they are shareholders in another company. Shares is an ownership or a part of a company. If you see, let's say, KQ flying here and you bought the share, then you are a shareholder. You own part or a piece of that particular company. What are the benefits of investing in shares? Of course, there are varieties of stocks. There are different choices of shares that you can invest in, you can buy. So you are not limited to one. Secondly, the moment you invest in shares, there are better returns in investment. And of course, it creates for you an opportunity to to get shares at the end of the year. Again, when you invest in a particular company, you own part of again investment. Bonds is another avenue, another opportunity in investing. What is a bond? Let's say issues a bond, an infrastructure bond, as an investor, to ensure that a given infrastructural project is achieved. So what are the benefits of investing in a bond? It provides safety for your capital because it's less risky in terms of investing in a bond. And of course, it also has a structured form of payment. If, let's say, it is a treasury bond you are investing in, there are three different. So you have one that you can invest for a number of days, one for, let's say 90, one something, and then 300 a year. So it provides high level of income, and they are safe form of collateral. So those are the benefits of investing in a bond. And of course, we also have another opportunity that is there for the Kenyan youth. That is the collective investment scheme. In other words, it's called
Sorry, I think did Hakano just break off?
Yes, I think he has. It looks like.
Okay, allow me before he gets back. Give me 1 second. Okay, so sorry, you know, technology sometimes the issues, but allow me just to pick up from where he was. Okay, so basically, and sorry for that. I think he's having some technical issues where he is, but I will proceed, and he can start talking. I'll keep my screen on. Okay, so basically, what he's talking about, you understand that shares is ownership in a company. You understand that debt is where a government at the end of the tenure, and when I say tenure, I mean the period that you're borrowing from, okay? And then we have a collective investment scheme, okay? For lack of a better word, a collective investment scheme is a charmer, basically. It's a charmer where a fund manager will take your money and pool it together with other funds and put it in different equity or fixed income, and you get a return, okay? Now, in case you're wondering, because we always get questions like, "Hey, if I'm not really well versed in investing, how do I enter the market if I'm risk averse?" A CIS or collective investment scheme is a fantastic way that you can actually come and your risk is reduced because you're not putting all your money in one basket, yeah. So it's spread out in different companies. So you know, it's like you've heard the phrase: if you put all your eggs in one basket, if the basket falls, then you lose everything. But in a CIS, it's really spread out. Okay. Now, one thing I'd like to mention, if you get back to shares, when you own shares in a company, you have a voice. Okay. You can actually go to the AGM. You can actually go to the AGM and annual general meeting, and you can actually vote in terms of the different products and services. Okay, so that's an advantage, yeah. And the beauty of investing in shares is you only need as low as 100 to 200 shillings. That's it. Okay, depending on the price of the share. You don't have to have a lot of money. Okay, now remember, all long term. Okay, if you're thinking of coming into capital markets and getting rich tomorrow, then it's not the market for you completely. This is about long term. Okay. Okay. Now you understand.
Conrad,
yes.
If you may let me, I'd want to share a poll on this before you discuss it. Yes, yes. So okay, I'll share the first poll. I'll launch it, and please make sure you participate. It's actually on the screens right now, and I'll just read it. Which questions are the most important to you before you make an investment? It's a multiple choice, so you can pick one or two things that are the most important to you. The first is the seller licensed in terms of the person you're getting the asset from? Are they licensed? Is the investment registered in terms of at CMA? Is it verified that you can be able to trade it as a participant, as an investor? How do you risk? How is the risk compared to the potential reward? How important is that to you? And also, do you understand the investment in terms of if it's crypto, do you understand crypto, or you're just putting money in crypto because, wow, it's at an all-time high? And the last one is, where can you turn to for help in case things go wrong? Where do you fall back on? So just answer. I can see 42 people out of the 100 have voted. Please, let's boost that number and have more people voting on that. Yes, Conrad, you may proceed as we continue voting. Okay, you're muted. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Sorry about that. I was chatting with Hakano. So I think it's quite exciting. When I look at the numbers, you can see that the major part of the question to ask is, do you understand investment? Which makes a lot of sense, because you have to understand it. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I'm giving you my money. How am I protected? And that's fantastic, because it's exactly what Lucy will be talking about. Okay, and this is very interesting. Okay, and as the poll goes on, Stacey, I see that Mano is trying to get back, but is in the way.
Okay, let me work on that.
Yes, Stacey?
Yes, let me work on that. Thanks.
So I think I'm happy to see that. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. And then you can let me know when it gets back, so we can pick it up. So you can see that the questions you're asking here and your answers is exactly what we're talking about. So that's exciting. Thank you very much. Okay. So now moving on. Okay, sorry. Let's share the poll. Okay, I think you can see results that are there right now. Okay, so and I'd like to see this, because it's exactly what we're here for, to understand about investments. Okay, and again, keep your questions coming. And then we'll just keep we'll keep addressing. Okay, actually remove the poll. Okay, the very first thing you should do is ask yourself, is the seller licensed? Okay, because you understand, one thing I'll tell you is, I'm sure that every person here has had some sort of unfortunate incident where you've lost money, or you've been conned, for lack of a better word. Okay, now you have to make sure that the seller is licensed, and to get that, you can come to our website at www.cma.or.ke. Okay, or you can just type CMA and you'll come to website. We've got a section that actually lists all the licensed stockbrokers, and they've all got a number. Okay, so make sure they're licensed. Now, I'll tell you this. It's very important, because, and I'm sure, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but every person who is a con man, especially, or a con lady, especially in the financial sector, they are the least people you'd expect. They are they're dressed very well, they look sharp, they speak very well, and they're very convincing. Okay, people who do a lot of scams in the financial market are very good. Okay, so like, I'm sure if somebody come to you, when somebody wants to borrow money from you, they're so nice. They're like, hey, my brother, my sister, how you doing? Listen, I need a favor, please. I'll give you back 1 week, just 1 week. Then when you're asking for the money, it's a whole nother story. It's the same thing. So you have to make sure they're registered. Okay, and then at the same time, with capital markets, you can also get that on the website. Okay, and then you have to look at the risk compared to the rewards. Okay, and we've got a slide that will talk about that. Where we, and the risk and reward, it's the same thing. If you have a car and you go at 90 miles an hour, is more at risk of getting into an accident. Okay, if you put 50,000 in an investment that you're not sure of, versus 5,000. So we have a habit, and when I say we, I'm saying all of us are guilty. And I think it's a cultural thing. We've got a habit of, if somebody's doing a cool thing or somebody's doing something, we all follow. When it comes to investing, do not follow, because every person's got their own investment goals. Every person has their own, you don't know where they got the money. Every person's got their own plan, okay? So if your colleague is buying shares in a particular company, don't just follow the person and don't believe the hype, okay? And in future sessions that we have together, we'll be talking about different topics, okay? And one of the topics that we'll be talking about is the different investment scams in the capital market. markets. But that will come a bit later when we have more, okay? And then at the very bottom, when it comes to help, Lucy will be talking about that. She'll be talking about investor protection, okay? Investor protection is very important, and we've got many options which will inform you later, okay? So, okay, one moment. Okay, now in terms of investment types, okay? In terms of investment types, this is a table. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but if you look at the table here, okay, and it goes back to the last slide when I was talking about risk, okay. If you look at cash, okay, and cash and bonds and stocks, then you have savings, you have CDs, you have money markets, okay. Now, with all due respect to the banking sector, you will never really make money in a savings account or a fixed income, okay? What am I talking about, okay? Unfortunately, in Kenya, if you look at the fixed income, and a fixed income is where you put your money in a bank and they give you an interest for the money that you have there. Unfortunately, the interest that they give is much lower than inflation, okay? So say, for example, if the inflation rate, the rate at which the goods and services rise is, say, 7%, most fixed income deposit will give you like 2 to 3%. So essentially, if you put money, you're actually losing. So that, in fact, I want you to try an experiment, and don't say Conrad sent you, but I want you to put 1,000 or whatever the minimum is in a fixed deposit and leave it there. Within a very short time, you will actually owe them money. Why? Because the money will be devalued because the inflation will eat up your money, okay? So you'll see that the return is very low, but the risk, it's a lower risk, okay? Okay, anything that's a lower risk, you get a lower return, okay? Now, when you look at bonds, in my view, a bond is the most safest because when you get like a government bond, it's very unusual. I know everyone's talking about the debt in Kenya, but it's very unusual for a government to actually not fulfill a bond. It's only happened a few times. It happened once, I think, in Nigeria, and I think in Germany, it went to 0%, but it's more secure, okay? And it's a bit more, it's a bit more predictable, okay? Where if you get a bond for 5 years, you're assuming that in 5 years everything will be okay, and the interest rate will make you actually make a return, okay? Now, of course, the risk is the interest rate fluctuations. For example, if you got into a bond a few years ago, and say you took an interest, like a fluctuating bond that depends on the inflation. If you took an inflation bond, that means right now with the COVID pandemic, you'll see that the bond prices may go down a little bit. So that's a macroeconomic factor that you have to factor in. Okay, so it's safe, but you can't make more money. Now, where you can make a lot of money, it's
Conrad?
riskier, but it's stocks. You can actually, the volatility. Yes.
Conrad, there's a question on the chat. I think I should pose it at this point. From Calvin, he's asking,
Yeah, sure.
Is there a difference between investing in securities through a bank and a registered stockbroker?
That's a very good question. There's actually okay. There's really not much difference in terms of we have allowed certain banks to act as they can actually facilitate you opening accounts. Okay. Now the only difference, and I'm only saying this because of the feedback that we get from everything that he does. Stocks, he does the research, and they are more well-versed in actually advising you on what stocks to buy, okay? In the banking sector, unfortunately, because of the large scope of their responsibilities, they deal with many other things, mostly on the money market side. So in the banking sector, they may not be as well-versed as in a stockbroker, but they both can facilitate you to open an account. But in my view, I'm not saying don't go to a bank. So I hope there's not a banker here who's like, throw a bullet at me. But I mean, it's better to go to a stockbroker. So thanks. That's a very good question. Okay. And now, has Halkano, Stacey, did Halkano come back?
Yes, he's back. He's back.
Oh, does he want to? Does he want? I can keep the slide.
Yes,
does he want
I'm
to
back.
continue?
I'm back.
Yes, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so now I'm sure you. Oh, there you go. Okay, I can move the slides and you can talk to them. Is that okay? Or do you want to open up your slide?
Yeah.
Huh? Do you want to open yours?
Yeah, I don't mind.
I think
okay, so let me
you can
stop.
continue. You can continue.
Okay. So Alkana, maybe you can talk. You can take it from here.
From here, eh?
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Conrad. I'm sorry for that. I was locked out of the system.
Okay, I think it's
okay.
There we go.
Investing, particular aspects of the type of investment that you intend to invest in. First, we begin with cash. As you all know, investing in cash in the savings account, in the money market, the return in terms of cash is low, but then you are certain that the money that you put there are safe and they are insured. Inflation, of course, there are risks associated with cash. If a dollar, let's say, against Kenya shilling goes up, then you can imagine the inflation. And of course, the interest rate fluctuation. When central bank issues increases, let's say, the CBR rate or decreases the central bank rate, then it also affects the interest there at the bank, particularly to do with cash. So handling cash in terms of investing in cash, it has lower risks, unlike, of course, the bonds and the stocks. Bonds, this can be government bond, infrastructure bond, county bond, and of course, corporate bonds, where, let's say, a private entity or a corporate organization issues a bond. The income in terms of bond are predictable. The stream of the income are predictable. They are more realistic, and they are more. It's something that you can count on. And the interest fluctuation rate, of course, is again a risk that is associated with it. The next one is to do with stocks. There are different stocks, of course. Different companies issues different stocks. This historically are known to have offered, greatest opportunity in spite of, the volatility rate in the market. And of course, investing in stocks has higher risk because one, the company might go insolvent, the company might come down, the macro and microeconomic factors might also affect the share prices. So that is it. Now we go to...
Okay, just a minute, Halkano, before you proceed. I think having told us about the miracle of compounding and given us more information on how we can be able to make sure we move forward, there's a question that was sent earlier by Ian, and I shall read it. For the youth who are looking to establish themselves and multiply their value, what is a realistic model of investment that they can use? Please, if you could address that.
In terms of miracles of compounding?
Yes, so if there's miracles of compounding, we want to look for models. Yes, we want to look for investments. Which particular investments would you say or advise that would be able to make sure that he can capitalize, or rather all of us, we can capitalize on growing our investments in that space?
Okay, of course, again, initially I indicated, you need to identify your own goals and identify the investment opportunities that are there. We have the stocks, we have the bonds, and of course we also have the stocks, the bonds, and the CIS. For me, for him, it is, I think the onus is on him to do his own research in terms of, whether he wants to put his money in the bonds or shares. But again, if you look at all the risks associated with it, personally, I'll advocate if you could pull quite a number of his colleagues together and establish a CIS, or he can invest in shares of different companies, but not in one particular shares. He can diversify. He can put some amount of money in this company A, another amount in company B, and another amount in company B to diversify, to reduce or spread his risks. So again, I'll throw back the challenge to the investor. One, he has to identify his own goal. Where does he want to reach in the next 5 years? Of course, investing in capital markets, again, is long term. It's not short term. So it's not that you put your money here today and you expect tomorrow the return. So in terms of investing, I prefer, of course, investing in different kinds of stocks, and more so, of course, also the bonds, which has more predictable income and lower risk.
Okay, thank you.
I like what you're saying, Halkano. Basically, so Halkano, basically you're saying that to answer that question, it depends on who you are. It depends on your goal, your investment goal. Okay. Now, if you're more, and like I said before, if you want to take, like, you could have a lot of money, you could afford to take more risks. So that's your plan. You could be somebody who is a bit risk averse. Maybe you're a bit more careful. Then maybe a collective investment scheme is for you. So it just depends on your goal. So, and like I said, do not follow where everyone's running, because you might get burned. Okay, so carry on.
Okay.
So Alcana, we are on the slide of the one of the miracle, the one for the investing when you're 20 and in your 20s and your 40s.
I think my screen is stuck. Is this yours or mine?
No, this one is actually, it's my screen that I'm showing. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going back to mine.
Okay,
Yes. I hope.
Yes. So, sorry, Stacy, you're saying something?
Hello.
Yes. I think in the meantime, I can just run a poll that is meant to come before we start going into the case studies. I can just run that to try fix what's happening. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Halkana, you can talk about this slide and to show the difference of investing the same amount when you're 20 and when you're 40.
Yes. I think it's important for somebody to start investing at an early age. If you look at the screen that I have here, is if let's say there's an investor A and there is investor B, and investor B, I mean, in terms of age, is older than investor B. In investor A, investor A has 150 shilling every month invested in a given portfolio and invest for 2 years. The return on that investment, based on the number of years and the total investment that is put, 150 times 40 years comes to 72,000. And of course, the annual interest rate compounded earlier, I mean yearly, goes for 9%. So you can see the value at that the return on investment for investor A, who is younger enough, comes to 667, 637. So what we are here seeing is the moment you start investing when you are young, then you can reap bigger benefits. But the moment you start investing when you are old, or when you still have like 20 or 15 years to invest, then the return on investment will be lower. So here we are trying to encourage, the Kenyan youth to start investing as early as possible. You can imagine you've been given by your parents pocket money, 5,000 Kenya shilling, okay? And out of that 5,000 shilling, you put aside 150 shillings every month. For 40 years, the total investment comes to 72,000. And you see, you'll reap more in terms of return on investment, unlike somebody who starts investing when he or she is left with few years of his existence, or for lack of a better word, to retire. So we encourage, and here, this slide is purely to encourage the Kenyan youth to start investing with as little as 150 shilling now.
Hey, Halkano, I'm over 40. Are you saying, am I old? Is it too bad for me?
No, Conrad, you could have invested earlier, so you should not worry.
All right, okay.
Okay, great. I think I'll share the poll now at this juncture. And it's on your screens now. Let me just read it. if you were gifted 50,000 shillings, what would you spend it on? So would it be a new phone, laptop, PS5? I mean, too many memes out there. Investments. We also have enjoyment and road trips. When we get to have our country opened again, you're gonna go for some road trips with friends, or will you just put it in your savings account until you figure out what to do with the money? Yes. So let's just answer and put our responses, genuine and honest responses. We're here to answer all of that. Yeah. Thank you. Halkano, you may proceed.
Thank you. Stacey, I can proceed?
Yes, yes, you may.
Yeah, let me move the slide. The next, okay, hold on. Okay, sorry, give me one moment. Okay, it does. Sorry, it doesn't let me move the slide when the poll is still ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, so let it. In fact, maybe we can just sort of comment. I'll be very disappointed if I see like 90% of the PlayStation 5. You know. So are we able to show the results, Stacey?
Yes, we can show the results. Please just vote in before I close it. I want to close it at 90 people. Okay. At 84. If we can just close in to make sure we get a very accurate answer. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm closing it. And let me just share so that we get to know. Conrad, surprise. Yes. At least your people shall invest.
Yeah, no, okay, no, but here's a question. You know, here's a question, Stacey.
Yeah.
Are people saying investments just because we're capital markets that are here?
Well, I think anyway, we can just leave it to them. Probably if they put the answer, then they're sure they would do it. Let's trust them. Yeah. Yeah, no, very good. This is exactly what I like. Thank you very much. A good answer. Okay. Thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, so I'm moving to the next slide. Okay, there we go. This actually, I like this slide, Halkano, because it actually, it's exactly what we're talking about from the poll. So over to you, Halkano. So Halkano, are you, I think you've muted. Sorry, I think you got stuck again, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can proceed.
Okay.
Yeah, please. But your camera is not moving. Okay, so you can talk about the case study. Yes.
Good. I have several case studies, of course, to share. The first one being case study number one, which is we assume, you know, you can imagine how many of you have a phone. I don't know. I mean, of course, you can't all of you show, but you can imagine a Kenyan youth today either has an Oppo, Samsung, iPhone, Huawei, okay? And the average cost of that phone is 10,000 Kenya shilling, okay? You can imagine that phone, if you walk on the streets, a MAGA comes and it's taken away. You are left with nothing, okay? Then the question is, why don't you opt to buy a phone? Of course, there's other smartphones which go for 5,000 and invest the 5,000 extra shilling. Let's say in Safaricom. Let's say in 2012, one Safaricom share was going for 4 shilling, okay? As of today, maybe if I check, I have my newspaper here, you can allow me to check. It could be going for, as of today, just allow me to check the share price for Safaricom. Sorry, just hold on. Safaricom as of today goes for 37 shillings, okay? So you can imagine if you have 5,000 Kenya shilling and you divide that 5,000 by 37, let's say you will get a minimum of 100 shares, okay? 5,000 divided by 37, you can get a minimum of, let's say 100 or so shares. So you can imagine if that share goes from 37 shillings to 50, you've made a return on investment of 13 shillings per share. So here we are saying it's not a bad idea to be patient, not to buy an expensive phone, but invest part of the money that you could have bought an expensive phone with to get a return on investment. And that return on investment is what you could use to buy a phone. But if you buy that phone of 10,000, after several years, the phone depreciates. Because if it is iPhone, I have an iPhone XS. I'm told there are new versions of iPhone that has come out. So the value of that phone depreciates and it becomes outdated. So here, we are just saying, you see, you need to consider the return on investment, and you need to remain patient and steadfast, focused, so that as you invest the 5,000 that you've saved from buying a phone, then the return on investment, your portfolio increases. So this is what case study illustrates. You know, you need to be patient. You need to invest in the right things.
Okay, Haukano, could I move to the next slide? I think we're doing bad on time. Next illustration.
Okay. The case study number 2. There was a research which was done in this country.
Okay, I think Haukano, you there?
I think he's still having some challenges,
okay.
So you can just proceed.
Okay, sorry. Let me just proceed. Basically, what we're saying here is statistics are showing that people between 16 and 24 spend an average of say about 900 shillings monthly on mobile phone. It could be airtime, and that's about 10,800 a year. So we're saying if you invest that at about the 400% in about 2 years, you'll make 43,200. Okay, 43,200. That's how much money you can make. Okay, so I hope you understand how. The little money that you have, if you save it monthly and put that into investments, you can actually be a very rich person. And it's unfortunate that I can't see your faces, but I'm curious, and I hope you're able to do this. If you can just in the chat, and I think Stacey will be able to see that, can you just send a chat of how much your mobile phone costs? And be honest, and Stacey will give us a rundown. So let us know like how much the average of your phone is, okay? Now, this is just an example of, you can open a CDS account. You can do it directly from the CDSC, or you can go to a stockbroker. You open an account, and then everything is done for you. Okay, it's a simple process that takes a few days. You can actually open it on the same day and start trading in about 2 or 3 days once you open the account. Okay. Now this, sorry, I'm going a bit faster because of time. These are the useful links that we have. We've got our CMA website. You can go there. We actually have a resource center portal where you have a lot of good information that you can get there. It's like an online library. And we've got a CMA toolkit. A toolkit is where you have a lot of information about investing. So you can actually, and it's good for beginners, okay, such as yourself. And then we also have, sorry. So we also have the complaints portal. Where if you have a complaint, you can actually log a complaint there. And last but not least, a whistleblower portal, which I know Lucy's smiling because I don't want to take her thunder. She'll be talking about that, okay? So thank you. That's pretty much what I have for you. Stop saying, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're, yeah, so I'll leave it up to the next speaker. Sorry,
Yes.
I think we took a bit of time, but I apologize.
Yeah. Lucy, I welcome you. You let us know about investor protection, and we're really looking forward to knowing how our rights will be protected, especially as very young and new investors will be vulnerable in the market. Please do share your screen, and I can share with Conrad what people are putting on the chat in terms of how much their phones cost. So the range is quite wide. I think the lowest I've seen is 4K, and the highest is 58,000. But averagely, most people are at around 15,000 to 25,000. I think that's the average phone.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. You see, that's a lot. You guys are rich, man. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can see a hand up. I can see James Hillary, his hand is up. I don't know if he can, is it coming later, or do we just let Lucy proceed?
We can just let Lucy proceed, and I will
Okay.
get in touch with him. Yes, Karibu,
Okay.
welcome, Lucy.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. So basically, my session is going to be on investor protection, and mainly I'll just cover the internal structures that are there within the authority that facilitate investor protection, complaint handling process, the capital markets fraud investigation unit, investor compensation fund, and some alerts that also help investors to be able to get notified about any transactions within their accounts, whistleblowing portal, and reporting corruption. Looks like I can't move my slides. Why? Oh, great. So one of the objectives of the authority, the core objective of authority is investor protection. And the authority is very keen to ensure that all investors' interests are well taken care of, and to operate an investor compensation fund that compensates investors in case of any financial loss that arises from any failures of a licensed broker or a dealer to meet their contractual obligations. So when you're talking about investor protection, then what are we talking about? Here we are saying, we are talking about the role that the authority plays in ensuring that all investors, be they local, be they foreign, be they the diaspora, that all their funds and interests are secured across the capital market industry. And here investors can either be institutional or they can be retail. By institutional, we say an institution that gets into the buying of securities within the capital markets as an institution, or individual, whereby you and me, say, Lucy, I just go by myself, and through a broker, I get to buy some shares or some securities. Within the authority, we have several structures that are all aimed at facilitating investor protection. And one of these is the policy and regulatory framework, whereby we have a specific department that deals with this formulation of the regulation. And the regulation basically looks at the interests of all parties, be they issuers, be they investors. We also have the investor education, or and awareness and certification. And here we know that an informed investor is a protected investor. And this section handles such forums that we, like the one we're having right now, just basically creating awareness to all target groups, be they the youth, women, general public, and professionals. So basically there's a section that deals with that, and this is the one that we belong to, and that is why we are here today, to just give you the information and give you the guidelines and just create awareness. We also have a section that does market surveillance inspection to ensure compliance, such that all the market players, just to ensure that all the market players are operating within the regulation. We have a licensing department to ensure that all intermediaries are also licensed. In the previous presentation, we had that you were advised that you also need to check before you invest, ensure that you confirm if the person you're dealing with is licensed. So the authority has a section that ensures that all players within the market are licensed. And the licenses are on the list of the licenses is normally put in our website. There's also an investigation and enforcement section that deals with the investigations of any matters, any suspicious matters. And if one is seen to have breached the regulations, enforcement actions are usually taken. We also have a section for police unit. It's called Capital Markets Fraud Investigations. And this is basically, we'll get to see more details in the next slide about the unit. There's also an integrity committee that has been set within the authority just to ensure that there's no any form of corruption within the capital markets for the staff dealing either internally or with the external parties. So we have another, we've also established a very detailed process of ensuring complaints are handled in a satisfactory manner. And here we first request any complainant to seek a solution within, say, like, for instance, if you are aggrieved by, say, a stockbroker, maybe you bought shares or they sold your shares without you knowing, you are requested to first sort it out within with the approved licensee or the broker. Just go to them, tell them, this is what I have noticed in my account, and I would like to know what the problem was or why this was done. So if the solution is not, the problem is not resolved, then you're requested to go to NSC. And if you're also not happy, you can escalate it to the authority. And if you're still not happy, then there's also the Capital Markets Tribunal. However, the authority reserves the right to directly receive all complaints touching on any aspect of the market, irrespective of value, nature, and status of the resolution. So you see how important we take complaints from the public. Reporting can be done through various ways. We have an online portal, complaint portal, whereby you just fill in a form online and submit to the authority. You can walk in at any time to the authority during working hours. You can give us a telephone call, emails. There's a whistleblower portal that we're going to see more details about, and we have the list is not. We can't exhaust the list. You have several mechanisms of reporting.
Thank you, Lucy. I'd want to share a poll now that we've talked about the NSC and we've talked about CDAC and the different probably institutions that are involved in making sure that one can trade and also be a successful investor. I just want to gauge the knowledge of how many people know NSC, how many people know CDAC, and the willingness to learn through more sessions on how we can be able to increase the knowledge in that aspect. So I've sent out the poll, just vote and tell us, do you know about NSC, do you know about CDAC? If not, you want to learn more, we are willing to help you out. Thank you, Mercy. Okay, Lucy, you may proceed.
Oh, great. At least I see quite about 30% no.
Yeah.
22 don't know, and a few more need. Anyway, yeah, we'll make it a point of interacting with you severally so that we can also get to talk about most of these institutions more often so that people get to understand. So you'll share the results later.
Yes.
I can proceed with the presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
fine. So the CMFIU, as I had mentioned, was established in 2009, and this was a collaboration between the Kenya Police and the Capital Markets Authority, where we have policemen, a unit of policemen from the DCI within the authority, and they basically just deal with they enhance investor protection, and they do investigation and prosecution of detected and or reported cases relating the market. So they act as liaison between the authority and other the investigative agencies, and coordinate with the authority's investigation and enforcement department, which I had mentioned earlier. So it also assists members in the spirit of utumishi kwa wote. So anyone who has a complaint within the market, any fraud issues, anything, they can also reach out to the CMFIU. Okay. So, and fraud offenses are basically within the. Yes, Stacey?
Yes, Lucy. I'd like to share the results so that everyone can see the results that have come out. We can see that 33% know about NSC and CDAC. 21 don't know about NSC and CDAC, and we'll make sure to move the 21 to the 33. And I want to know more about it. So there are those who know, but we want to still know more. And I think this is also a learning point for us, that we need to really push the engagement so that we have more people on the yes. Okay, thank you. You may proceed, Lucy.
Thank you. Yes, so we were talking about fraud offenses, and here what is counted as fraud is impersonation of investors or undertaking unauthorized transactions in their securities account. So for instance, if you're a retailer and you go and you find your broker has sold shares without your knowledge, that is, or someone else out there purports to be you and goes and colludes with or approaches a stockbroker and you find your shares have been sold or your other securities have been sold, then you can report such an offense to the authority. So collection and encashment of sales of proceeds by fraudsters posing as genuine investors, unauthorized variations of client details in securities accounts, or conducting trades of securities on basis of information that has not been released to the market, and this we call insider trading. So it's also a criminal offense. We have penalties ranging from 15 million or a jail term of up to 7 years. So you can see how seriously the matters are taken. So another aspect that enhances investor compensation is something we call the Investor Compensation Fund. And an Investor Compensation Fund is set up within the Capital Markets Act. And basically, this is aimed at granting compensation to investors who suffer loss resulting from failure of a licensed broker or a dealer. So a maximum of at least about 50,000 is given to all investors. But there's there are efforts that are being worked towards ensuring a higher cap can be provided to the investors so that they are at least fully compensated. We also have the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation alert services, and here the authority works with the CDSC to ensure that the investors are helped to track their investments. And this include some SMS alert services. And when you subscribe to the alert services, it allows you to access your CDS account and keep track of your shares through your mobile phone. So you only need to register to a certain number, the 22372. There's also the email service, which allows you to receive monthly statements. And there's also the web service. So investors are encouraged to subscribe to these services so that in case of anything, at least you're aware. And in case of any fraudulent transactions, you'll be alerted and you'll be able to follow up early enough. The authority has a whistleblower portal within its website, and here the public and anyone else is encouraged to report any matters, any unfair or any corruption activities, anything, all the malpractices that you can notice. And the portal is aimed at strengthening market integrity, and it allows you to report anonymously. You don't have to say who you are in case you're afraid, but as long as you give us verifiable evidence and that you are able to the evidence that can be admissible in court, that would be very welcome. This is accessed through our website. There's some icon of a whistle, and once you click on it, you'll follow the prompts and be able to fill the form. And this is very exciting because there's a reward of 3% of whatever amounts that would be recoverable, and as long as it's not more than 5 million. So you just go and report something and then you find your 5 million just because of being a good citizen and not trying to cover up some malpractice.
Hey, Lucy,
Yes.
this is very interesting, you know, and forgive me for being a bit naive. You know, I watch a lot of movies, and when I see whistleblower, I'm thinking, you know, am I going to be safe? And is CMA going to put me in a witness protection program where you give me a nice little house, a little meal, and You know, it's not even to blow a thing.
Of course, you will be protected. We have the CMFIU team. They will ensure that you're safe. So no one is going to come to you. So don't worry, you can report. And if you want to do it anonymously, you can do it. But of course, at some point, you will be required maybe to give the evidence. So but you will be protected for sure.
Nice if you take me to the Bahamas and give me a nice little house with a new identity. Maybe I'm just saying, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Conrad. So we also have a mechanism for ensuring that any corruption cases can be reported to the authority. And within the authority, there's an integrity committee that has been established, and anyone can report cases to committee that are holding professionalism, integrity, and all the contacts are provided, and this is also available within the website of the authority, all the details. Then there's so much about the authority trying to invest the investors. Then there's also to view yourself, your financial objectives, your income sources, the constraints and risks. Then it's opened up okay, it's this very much used to kids for the share being be your request for the transactions to be made preferably in writing, so that no one will say that no, you said we can sell the shares verbally. No, it's good to have things in writing. And transaction statements, be inquisitive. If you don't get them, please liaise with your broker and ensure that they provide that. Purchase or sale contracts, you need to retain such documents. And just for in case anything comes up in future, you also have some reference documents. Then always conduct due diligence before you invest. You know, sometimes when the deal is too good, there's always something that's not right. So you also, for instance, if you're investing in a company, try and also review maybe how has the company been performing in the past, what are their future prospects. So don't just invest because other people are investing. You remember the quail, I don't know if most of you are can remember the quail business, where people were just investing because, you know, someone comes and tells you, oh, you know, the quails, the eggs, they are quite, you know, it's quite a good business. Then you just go and blindly get into it. Then at the end of it, you find you have no market for the eggs, you have no market for the quails, and you just learn it a roast. There's also a need for you to seek references from maybe established investors. If you have a friend who's business, just try to talk to them and find out exactly the rules of the trade. And basically, that's the end of my presentation. And thank you, and I welcome any questions that you may have on the same. Stacy.
Thank you very much, Lucy. I think now we can move into the Q&A session. In case there are any questions, you can feel free to put them on the chat. And I remember there was a request to ask you a question on regulations on a personal level. I can just request the individual to unmute and ask us the question on regulations and policy.
Sorry, is it me? Oh, okay.
I think it's Stacy.
No, I think she's back on now. I think she's.
Okay. I hope I'm back.
Okay. No, you're back.
Great. There was a question on the chat. They wanted to talk to Lucy and ask her on regulations after the presentation. Now we are moving to Q&A. I would like to urge the individual to share the question. I'm trying to see their name. It can't come up right now.
Yes, there was a hand up.
Yeah, yes, it's Enodias.
Okay, yes, Enodias. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for this discussion.
Okay.
My name is Enodias. I'm actually doing my master's in international financial law. So this is my third month in East Africa. So I wanted to ask Stacy on a regulatory framework. So my first question is, do you think Twin Peaks regulatory framework will work in Kenya? Because where I come from, we've adopted the Twin Peaks regulatory framework, and I've noted that the Kenyan framework is fragmented in a bit. Then the second one is on continuous disclosure. If you have encountered any problems during the pandemic with a continuous disclosure, or if companies are experiencing any problems in relation to continuous disclosure. Thank you.
I think, do we take them as the come, or do we take them and then answer at the end?
You can feel free to just take them and answer. I think that's better on a one-on-one basis.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. With permission of the panel, let me take that one. Thank you, Enodias. That's a very good question. And the fact, when you talk about the Twin Peaks model, I'm almost certain you're from South Africa, because that's the model that you have there. Please understand, we actually were trying to adopt that model. In fact, I think about when our president got his first term, we adopted a model where we'll have a Twin Peak regulation, where we have prudential and then supervisory. And we actually did a study and even used a South Africa model in Kenya. And the paperwork was done. And in fact, they even did a lot of work. We even had a new name of the regulatory authority. It was going to be called, I think, Financial Conduct Authority, something like that, okay? But unfortunately, I'm not sure politically what's happened, but it's still in the works, and it's something that we're trying to adopt, okay? So that's something that we're looking at. It's already there. And in fact, if you Google that on our website, you'll actually get a lot more information about what we're trying to adopt in Kenya. But unfortunately, the politics and all that, we don't know when that would happen, okay? And there was a bit of anxiety, because when you develop a Twin Peaks model, some people may lose their jobs, because like if you bring regulators together, then it becomes a redundancy. So that was a bit of an excitement. And then in terms of continuous disclosure, we actually obviously in terms of disclosure, we don't really have a problem with intermediaries. Where we have a problem is with their earnings. Obviously, with the COVID pandemic, there's been a lot of issues with earnings. And so we've actually allowed them, we've extended some of the reporting timeframes for them where they can actually submit their financials. And then number two, we're using more remote access to inspections so that, of course, the social distancing. But in terms of reporting, there's not been an issue. It's just in terms of positive reporting, that's an issue, which you can understand. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Conrad. I hope your question has been answered, Enodias. Yes, I can also see a question from Esther. She's saying she's an entrepreneur, and that lately there's been a lot of chatter about money markets fund and how convenient and modern it is in terms of investing. She'd like us to kindly elaborate this term and whether it's a viable investment option. Yes.
Yeah, let me, and sorry, I'll allow, but let me say with, and that's a very good question, Esther. The way to answer that question is, it really depends on your investment appetite, okay? Traditionally, a money market, the returns are safer, it's a lower risk, but remember, the return is a bit lower, because what does a money market do? A money market would invest in money market instruments such as fixed deposits, okay? And a fixed deposit, remember I said a fixed deposit offers way below inflation, okay? So in my view, you're better off, if you're kind of risk averse, you're better off doing what they call a balanced fund. A balanced fund will take equities and a money market and sort of mix them together, okay? So it really depends on your option. But money market is low risk but low return. Equity is high risk but high return. Balanced fund is kind of in the middle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Conrad. I think that question has been well answered. And I am.
Maybe.
Yes,
Sorry.
Lucy. Yes.
Maybe I can also respond to another one I've received.
Yes.
And is usually of interest to most youth.
Okay.
There's someone who's asking if the authority offers internship opportunities, and I say yes, we do. And what happens is one is supposed to apply online. There's a portal for careers, and they need to check anytime on the portal when they are advertised, and they can always get an opportunity. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lucy. I think with that, we can come to the end of our beautiful, beautiful session. And I just want to thank very much the presenters from CMA taking this opportunity and time to engage with us as the youth, and organized as well by Strathmore Junior Chambers. I want to thank the team that has helped me come up with this and bring it to life. Also, for those interested in joining Strathmore Junior Chambers of Commerce, feel free to drop us an email on strathmorejcc@gmail.com, giving us your name, your phone number and your email address, and we'll get in touch. You can as well also put it on the chat. Whichever works would be good. And I think there's a very good question I've got here. I think we should take it and call it the parting shot. Okay, so it's from Emmanuel, and he's asking me, what about cryptocurrency and NFTs that are coming about in blockchain technology in the last couple of months? Do you think it's a good investment? Halkano, over to you.
I think for cryptocurrencies, I'll rather throw it back to Conrad.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think thanks. Cryptocurrency has always been it's kind of been an interesting area, and I'm sure you've seen in the past that CMA has issued some notices, sort of warning people against cryptocurrency. Okay, not crypto assets. Okay, now personally, and the authority is actually developing policy on crypto assets, because the issue is cryptocurrency is where it's not capital market. So that's where you got to be careful, and they're different cryptocurrencies. But where we come in is where you have a crypto asset that has a capital market component. So for me personally, the blockchain technology is amazing, because I'm able to facilitate a platform where somebody in Russia can actually trade using a blockchain technology and buy even Kenya Airways shares, okay? And you may not even need an intermediary, okay? With blockchain technology, you remove the stockbroker, therefore you're not actually paying commission, and you're dealing directly, almost like peer-to-peer, okay? And it's stamped, and it's very difficult to sort of penetrate. So it's something that we actually, and there's so many things we're looking at, and we actually have, for those of you that are interested, if you go to our website, we have a regulatory sandbox. It's the regulatory sandbox program. And the way it works is, if you have an innovative idea, okay, that's fintech, that's financially related, you can put an application, it costs very little money, you can put an application, and we'll put you in a testing environment to test your product. If it works, then you can launch it in the market, okay? We actually have one company that was launched called Possession, and that went through the program. So if you have any innovative ideas, in crypto assets, machine learning, any technology, we're definitely open. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Conrad. I believe you've answered that question very, very well. And I'd want to hand it over to you to give us a beautiful closing. Yeah.
Okay, full and closing. I don't know if they go together. Yeah, so it's like, thanks a lot, Stacey, and thanks a lot, everyone. I think when I look at the numbers, we've got 99 people, and I note that there's a lot of people that were trying to get in, and I'm sure there are people in Facebook and watching. This is fantastic, okay? I think this is the beginning of beautiful, using Stacey's word. That's going to be my new word of the day, okay? This is the beginning of a beautiful engagement together, okay? And what we'll do is, every time that we have a session, just so you don't get tired of seeing my funny beard and then, and my bald head, we'll have different speakers, okay? And we'll have even some of you will actually be presenting. Some of you who work at CMA, in fact, even we don't be, Stacey can do a presentation. So we'll do different topics, and we won't just speak on complicated topics. Topics on like what Lucy was talking about, like ways to avoid fraud, like or what happens during COVID pandemic. We know that a lot of people are suffering. People have lost their jobs. So how can you best invest during COVID? So then emotional, traits of losing money. What do you do when you lose money, and how do you go about it? So there's so many topics. There's so many things that we can cover. So let's take this journey together. This is the beginning. I apologize for we had some technical issues, but I think Alcana's back on. You understand, Kenya Power, sometimes, it happens. So for me, just to thank you for your time, and you guys are awesome. Based on your questions, I look forward to the rest. Asante sana. So Stacey, back to you, and we can end.